Can you solve all these Class 10 English Supplementary Chapter 7 The Necklace questions? I am.
Perfect. I'm is the correct choice.
He is.
Nice selection. His is the correct and valid answer.
Ano?
Excellent choice. Aunt is the right answer.
Deep pain.
Correct. Agony is the right answer.
Money owed.
Valid point. Debt is true.
Curios are.
You're right. Items you collect is the correct answer.
To buy.
Nice work. You chose purchase, and it is correct.
Office worker. You got it?
Your choice, clerk, is right.
Deeply unhappy.
You chose disconsolate, and it is correct.
Hook or fasten.
Exactly. Clasp makes sense.
Define chagrin.
Right choice. Humiliated is the best answer.
Avoiding waste.
Smart move. Frugal is an accurate answer.
Never stopping.
Well reasoned. Incessant is the correct choice.
What is vanity?
Sharp thinking. Beauty pride is the right choice.
Matilda married.
Clear logic. Your choice, a clerk, is sound.
A type of dance.
Well done. Waltz is the right choice.
What is crossly?
Strong choice. Annoyed is the right answer.
Excessive praise.
On track. Adulation is the correct answer.
Name the channel.
Bravo, Can Money Ma'am TV is the answer.
Active at night.
Correct response. Nocturnal is the most accurate answer.
Angry or annoyed.
Smart pick. Irritated is the correct choice.
Define exquisite.
Good thinking. Very beautiful is the right answer.
Crushed by grief.
Great job. Desolate is the accurate answer.
Very embarrassing.
Nicely done. Humiliating is a solid answer.
An imitation is a.
Well picked. Copy is the correct answer.
When was the ball?
Good job. Monday evening, January 18 works well here.
Anger or annoyance.
Great thinking. Vexation is the right choice.
A very poor person.
Solid response. Pauper is a valid choice.
Important or useful.
Excellent. Value is a brilliant choice.
To inspire means to.
Right again. Encourage to take action is a valid answer.
How was the webinar?
Great job. Excellent is the accurate answer.
Who was Mr. Loisel?
Nice selection. Clerk is the correct and valid answer.
Crook to one side.
You got it? Your choice, Askew, is right.
Was there any irony?
You chose yes, and it is correct.
Extreme exaggeration.
Exactly, hyperbole makes sense.
A luxury is something.
Excellent choice. Expensive, but not necessary is the right answer.
What is an artisan?
Nice work. You chose a skilled worker and it is correct.
Refinement, delicacy.
Smart move. Finesse is an accurate answer.
What is the conflict?
Sharp thinking. Man vis self is the right choice.
Endlessly, constantly.
Correct. Incessantly is the right answer.
What is impertinence?
Perfect. Lack of respect. Rudeness is the correct choice.
Shocked or astonished?
Solid response. Stupefied is a valid choice.
Constantly, endlessly?
Great thinking. Incessantly is the right choice.
Adare was used when?
Excellent. At a wedding is a brilliant choice.
Mr. Loisel gave Matilda.
Right choice. 400 francs is the best answer.
Unable to be comforted?
On track. Disconsolate is the correct answer.
Hateful and offensive?
Valid point. Odious is true.
Matilda dreams of dash.
Good thinking. All of the above is the right answer.
Respectful admiration.
Good job. Homage works well here.
Who is the protagonist?
Bravo. Mathilde Loisel is the answer.
What does poverty mean?
Strong choice. Very poor is the right answer.
Unreasonably high price.
Correct response. Exorbitant is the most accurate answer. What does inspire mean? Well-reasoned. To motivate is the correct choice.
Who is Madame Frostier?
Well picked. Mathilde's girl fiend is the correct answer.
Wanting what others have.
Right again. Envied is a valid answer.
A symbol is a thing that.
Smart pick. Stands for something is the correct choice.
Cased in Spanish is dash.
Nicely done. Complex is a solid answer.
Much too high, excessive.
You're right. Exorbitant is the correct answer.
Matilda always remained.
Well done. Unhappy is the right choice.
Exult in Spanish is dash.
Clear logic. Your choice exultar is sound.
Excessive, unrestrained.
Valid point. Immoderately is true.
She always remained dash.
Well picked. Unhappy is the correct answer.
Low speaking is called a.
Perfect. Mama is the correct choice.
A person who is very poor.
Bravo. Popper is the answer.
Who wrote the necklace?
On track. Guy de Maupassant is the correct answer.
Mathilda was a dash a lady.
Right again. Dissatisfied is a valid answer.
What was the shop's name?
Solid response. Palace Royal is a valid choice.
Meaning of word exquisite.
Nicely done. Finely made is a solid answer.
She threw the letter dash.
Well done. Spitefully is the right choice.
Poverty is being very dash.
Excellent choice.
Poor is the right answer. Who reminds Biff to study? Well-reasoned. Bernard is the correct choice. Nice enough or appropriate?
Exactly. Suitable makes sense.
Where does M. Loisel work? Right choice. Board of Education is the best answer. Plentiful praise, flattery. Nice selection. Adulation is the correct and valid answer. How much did the gown cost? Good job. 400 francs works well here. Look at this dash painting. Correct response. Exquisite is the most accurate answer. Volition in Spanish is dash. Excellent. Volition is a brilliant choice. What does humiliating mean? You got it. Your choice embarrassing is right. Appalled in Spanish is dash. Smart pick. Dismay is the correct choice. Stupefied in Spanish is dash. Great job. Art and Nudo is the accurate answer. Too valuable to be measured. Smart move. Inestimable is an accurate answer. When is Nicki Minaj's day? Sharp thinking. Decade 1982 is the right choice. The dove is a dash of peace? Nice work. You chose symbol and it is correct. He wore a dash old overcoat. You chose shabby and it is correct. Whom did Matilda marry to? Strong choice. A pretty clerk is the right answer. What did Matilda suffer from? Clear logic. Your choice poverty is sound. The original necklace is dash. Good thinking. Never found is the right answer. Someone you work with is your. You're right. Colleague is the correct answer. What does Madame Loisel love? Great thinking. Jewelry is the right choice. What is the tone of the story? Correct. Ironic is the right answer. What tortured and angered her? Valid point. All of these is true. Noun, the way something happens. Excellent. Circumstances is a brilliant choice. Mim Forestier's first name was. Nice selection. Any is the correct and valid answer. Inscrutable in Spanish is dash. Sharp thinking. Nintendable is the right choice. The main theme of the story is. Correct. Appearances versus reality is the right answer. What is the external conflict? You chose man v. society, and it is correct. Someone who likes to save money. Solid response. Thrifty is a valid choice. Comparison using like or as. Nicely done. Simol is a solid answer. Continuing without interruption. On track. Incessantly is the correct answer. In an ill-mannered way, angrily. Well-reasoned. Crossly is the correct choice. Experience that hurts your pride. Well picked. Humiliating is the correct answer. Where does the story take place? Exactly. France makes sense. Did they find the lost necklace?
Right choice. No is the best answer.
Did the Loisels fire their maid?
Clear logic. Your choice yes is sound. Strong feelings of embarrassment. Smart pick. Chagrin is the correct choice.
Poverty refers to people who are.
Right again? Poor is a valid answer. Mrs. Loisel always remained dash. Correct response. Unhappy is the most accurate answer.
The situation of being very poor.
Strong choice. Poverty is the right answer. It motivates you to do something. Well done. Inspire is the right choice. What did her husband not buy her? Excellent choice. Jewelry is the right answer. The borrowed necklace was made of. Bravo! Glass is the answer. To see something in a certain way. Good thinking. Perceive is the right answer. An object that represents an idea. Good job. Symbol works well here. What does she think she deserves? You got it. Your choice, both 2 and 3, is right. Beyond what is reasonable or fair. Perfect. Exorbitant is the correct choice. Which word means to feel jealous?
You're right. Envious is the correct answer.
What is Mathilda's husband's job? Great job. Minister of Public Information is the accurate answer. What is the meaning of word vexed? Nice work. You chose annoyed and it is correct. What was the material of necklace?
Smart move. Covering is an accurate answer.
Matilda was born into a family of. Great thinking. Clerks is the right choice. Papers that promise a payment back. Valid point. Promissory note is true. How did Mathilde feel at the ball? Good job. Happy and beautiful works well here. What is the setting of this story? Smart move. Paris, France is an accurate answer. She was born into a family of dash. Correct. Clerks is the right answer.
What is me Loisel's friend's name?
Solid response. Jan is a valid choice. How much did Matilda's dress cost? Well done. 400 francs is the right choice.
What is it the tone of civil peace?
Exactly. Optimistic and hopeful makes sense. A careless or thoughtless mistake. Strong choice. Blunder is the right answer. To speak with pauses or repetition.
Perfect. Stammer is the correct choice.
How did the necklace make her feel?
Good thinking. Elegant is the right answer.
When would she weep for whole days? Well reasoned. After visiting her friend is the correct choice. What did Bishamba demand as dowry? You're right. 5,000 rupees is the correct answer. To encourage someone to take action. On track. Inspire is the correct answer. A stupid or careless mistake?
Great job. Blunder is the accurate answer.
Matilda belongs to the upper class. Sharp thinking. False is the right choice. The antagonist of the necklace is... Bravo. Greed is the answer. Mathilde Loisel's husband was a dash. Nice work. You chose clerk and it is correct. What is the theme in the necklace? Great thinking. The theme of materialism is the right choice. Synonym for done without thinking.
Clear logic. Your choice instinctive is sound.
Did he agree to give her that money? Excellent choice. Yes is the right answer. The surprise ending is an example of... Right again. Irony is a valid answer. Angered at something unjust or wrong. Correct response. Indignant is the most accurate answer. Throughout the story, Mathilde values...
Nice selection. Appearances is the correct and valid answer.
The necklace has a dash at the end. Right choice. A plot twist is the best answer. I cried dash until my mother arrived. You got it. Your choice deliriously is right. Large, deep serving dish with a cover. Excellent. Turin is a brilliant choice. If you are dismayed, you are feeling... Smart pick. Amazed is the correct choice. The author of the necklace is dash. You chose Guy de Maupassant, and it is correct. Who is the protagonist of the story? Nicely done. Madame Loisel is a solid answer. It rained on a couple's wedding day. Well picked. Not irony, just unfortunate is the correct answer. Who is the author of The Necklace? Smart move. Guy de Maupassant is an accurate answer. The food served and eaten at one time. Good thinking. Repast is the right answer. What is the genre of The Necklace? Exactly. Short story makes sense. Impossible to understand or interpret?
Right again. Inscrutable is a valid answer.
Great happiness. Overwhelming emotion. Correct response. Rapture is the most accurate answer. What tortured and angered me, Loisel? Perfect. All the above is the correct choice. A hint of what's to come in the future. Strong choice. Foreshadowing is the right answer. What do you mean by the word dismay? Solid response. All of these is a valid choice. For how long did they pay their debts? Excellent. 10 years is a brilliant choice. To desire or want to possess something. Well reasoned. Covet is the correct choice. Feelings of great warmth and intensity. Bravo, ardor is the answer. Matilda was facing a dash of destiny. Nicely done. Error is a solid answer. What is the opposite of a rich person? You got it. Your choice, Popper, is right. What type of dancing was at the party? Great thinking. Waltz is the right choice. The setting of a story consists of the... You chose time and place. and it is correct. Where was the story published in 1884? Well done. The Goals is the right choice. Did Madame Loisel dream of being rich? Sharp thinking. Yes is the right choice.
What is the theme of this short story?
Smart pick. Appearances can be deceiving is the correct choice. At the party, Mathilde has a dash time. Good job. Wonderful works well here.
Filled with fear, horror, or amazement.
Right choice. Devices is the best answer. To show or feel a lively triumphant joy? Excellent choice. Exult is the right answer. The teacher's shoes are dash snakeskin. Clear logic. Your choice imitation is sound. In which city did the story take place? Correct. Paris is the right answer. Who became the new maid of the house? Great job. Madame Loisel is the accurate answer. Did they ever pay off all of the loans?
You're right. Yes is the correct answer.
What does the Latin root splend mean? Well picked. Brilliant or radiant is the correct answer. What is the turning point of the story? Nice selection. Climax is the correct and valid answer.
How long did the struggle continue for?
Valid point. 10 years is true. The entire range or series of something. On track. Gamut is the correct answer. What is the actual state of her family? Nice work. You chose poor and it is correct.
We often dash beauty in different ways.
You're right. Perceive is the correct answer.
Expensive things you do not really need.
Valid point. Luxury is true. What is Mathilde Loisel's social class? Right choice. Lower class is the best answer. A semicolon looks like... Excellent. Is a brilliant choice. How did she look on the day of the ball? Solid response. All of these is a valid choice. What damaged some part of Bolly's brain? Nice work. You chose falling off a cot, and it is correct. Throughout the story, Loisel values good thinking. Appearances is the right answer. M. Loisel works for the Ministry of Dash. Smart pick. Education is the correct choice. Who causes all Madame Loisel's problems? Great job. Herself is the accurate answer. Rudeness, illustrating a lack of respect. Correct response. Impertinence is the most accurate answer. Compliments to make someone feel special. Nicely done. Flattery is a solid answer. Marked by excellence or renown, eminent. Strong choice. Distinguished is the right answer. To think something is important or useful. Perfect. Valuable is the correct choice. What did Matilda suffer from? Nice selection. Poverty is the correct and valid answer. How much was the necklace actually worth? On track. 500 is the correct answer. Strongly shocked, horrified, or disgusted? Well done. Uphold is the right choice. To live at or in a specified place. Good job. Dwell works well here. Who warns Willie about the security guard? Excellent choice. Charlie is the right answer. What did Mathilde borrow from her friend? Exactly. A necklace makes sense.
Which word below means being very poor?
Great thinking. Poverty is the right choice. Did the Loisels have to sell their house? Correct. Yes is the right answer. What spoiled Mr. and Mrs. Loisel pleasure?
Clear logic. Your choice, the loss of necklace, is sound.
What was the actual cost of the necklace? You got it. Your choice, 36,000, is right. True or false? Mathilde Loisel is wealthy? Smart move. False is an accurate answer. What do you call the lesson of the story?
Well picked. Theme is the correct answer.
Who wrote the short story? The necklace. Right again. Guy de Maupassant is a valid answer. Matilda hated visiting her schoolmate as. You chose she was rich, and it is correct. The lack of comforts or basic necessities? Well reasoned. Privation is the correct choice. What was Mathilda's husband's occupation? Bravo, clerk is the answer. What did she dream of while having dinner? Sharp thinking. Marvelous dishes is the right choice. Which word below means very embarrassing? Nice work. You chose humiliating and it is correct. Mathilde borrows a dash necklace from Dash. Smart move. Diamond Forestier is an accurate answer. What does the borrowed necklace symbolize? Right choice. Deception and false appearances is the best answer. How can you best characterize her husband? Perfect. Selfless is the correct choice. Who is the protagonist of The Necklace?
Valid point. Madame Loisel is true.
Describe the character of Mathilde Loisel. You're right. Discontented and materialistic is the correct answer. A feeling of disappointment or humiliation. Bravo. Chagrin is the answer. Adjective. Silly, feeling joy and happiness. Right again. Giddy is a valid answer. Which word means captivating, spellbinding? Correct. Enthralling is the right answer. Who did Mathilde borrow the necklace from? On track. Madame Forestier is the correct answer. What type of character is Madame Forestier? Well reasoned. Static flat is the correct choice. Noun, the person or voice telling the story. Clear logic. Your choice, narrator, is sound. Loisels took Dash years to repay the loan. Well done. 10 is the right choice. What is Guy de Maupassant's writing style? Nice selection. Naturalism is the correct and valid answer. Which is the best definition of enraptured? Sharp thinking. Filled with delight is the right choice. What type of irony is present in the story? Strong choice. Situational irony is the right answer. Where does Madame Loisel lose the necklace? Smart pick. At the ball is the correct choice. He shook his head and gave me a dash smile. Great job. Refill is the accurate answer. His dash of the singer made everyone laugh. Well picked. Imitation is the correct answer.
Each star on the flag is a dash of a state.
Excellent choice. Symbol is the right answer.
True or false, the diamond necklace was fake.
Great thinking. True is the right choice. What is the name of the author of the text? Solid response. Guy de Maupassant is a valid choice.
The story was told from what point of view?
You chose third person limited, and it is correct.
What time did Madame Loisel leave the ball? Good job. 4 o'clock works well here.
What is the best definition for exorbitant?
Nicely done. Excessive is a solid answer. The couple received an invitation to a dash. You got it. Your choice reception is right.
Necklace should be borrowed was the idea of.
Excellent. Husband is a brilliant choice. Who had to work extra to pay off the loans? Correct response. Mr. Loisel is the most accurate answer. 6 Mathieu was born into a rich family.
Exactly. False makes sense.
What did Uncle Ben mention he is looking at? Good thinking. Properties in Alaska is the right answer. I haven't a thing to wear. How could I go? Good thinking. Indirect characterization is the right answer. How can you best characterize Madame Loisel? Great thinking. Greedy is the right choice.
What is the meaning of the Latin root splend?
Well done. Brilliant or radiant is the right choice. To make more beautiful and attractive. Nice selection. Adorn is the correct and valid answer.
Noun. A feeling of great respect and approval.
Perfect. Admiration is the correct choice. What kind of necklace is in the short story? Sharp thinking. A diamond necklace is the right choice. A humiliating experience makes a person feel.
Well picked. Embarrassed is the correct answer. The act or ability to make one's own choices.
You chose volition, and it is correct.
A series of ordered groupings within a system.
Strong choice. Hierarchy is the right answer. What happened to the necklace after the ball? Clear logic. Your choice it was lost is sound.
What did Mathilde feel she was born to enjoy?
Well reasoned. Delicacies and luxuries is the correct choice.
Which city is the setting for the necklace?
On track. Paris is the correct answer.
What is the POV of the story? You got it? Your choice third person omniscient is right.
She's the personification of culture and dash.
Excellent. Refinement is a brilliant choice. First person point of view uses words such as Nice work. You chose I and me, and it is correct. E.
Not enough money for food, shelter, or clothing.
Excellent choice. Poverty is the right answer.
What is the main theme of Gift of the Magi?
Right again. The power of love is a valid answer.
A serious event causing distress or misfortune.
Nicely done. Calamity is a solid answer.
How many planets does the little prince visit?
You're right. 6 is the correct answer.
What character trait best describes M. Loisel?
Correct. Compassionate is the right answer. How much time did they take to repay the loan? Valid point. 10 years is true.
What did Mrs. Loisel borrow from my forestier?
Solid response. A necklace is a valid choice.
What does the necklace symbolize in the story?
Right choice. Deception and false appearances is the best answer.
What is the overall setting of the necklace?
Smart pick. 19th century France is the correct choice.
From where did Mrs. Loisel borrow the necklace?
Great job. Mrs. Forestier is the accurate answer.
Forestier is the antagonist in the story?
Correct response. False is the most accurate answer.
What does the word homage mean in the story?
Bravo. Respect and admiration is the answer.
What jewelry did me Loisel choose to borrow?
Exactly, diamond necklace makes sense.
What did Mummy Loisel lose that caused distress?
Smart move. Forestier's necklace is an accurate answer.
What was the cost of replica of missed necklace?
Good job, 3,600 francs works well here.
Adverb. Doing something in a wild and speedy way?
Well picked. Frantically is the correct answer.
It was dash to forget my lines during the play.
You chose humiliating, and it is correct.
Who is the author of the lesson, The Necklace?
Good thinking. Guy de Maupassant is the right answer.
What did Monsieur Loisel, her husband, buy her?
You're right. A dress gown is the correct answer.
What is the main character's name in the story?
Well done. Madame Loisel is the right choice.
Give one most suitable word for Madame Forestier.
Great job. Helpful is the accurate answer.
Something that looks or acts like something else.
You got it? Your choice imitation is right.
The main character is portrayed as dash and dash.
Right choice. Pretty, charming is the best answer.
A system of ranking in order of powered importance.
Good job. Hierarchy works well here.
What does Mathilde's husband bring home for her?
Strong choice. Invitation is the right answer.
Jeanne let Mathilde borrow the diamond necklace.
Valid point. Rising action is true.
Where does the majority of the story take place?
Paris is the answer.
Did Madame Loisel look the same 10 years later?
Excellent choice. No is the right answer.
1. What does Mathilde Loisel desire most in life?
Smart pick. Wealth and luxury is the correct choice.
Many women were charmed by his old-fashioned dash. Solid response. Gallantry is a valid choice.
A dash is the main figure of the story. Good guy.
Excellent. Protagonist is a brilliant choice. Was Madame Loisel satisfied with soup for dinner? Nice selection. No is the correct and valid answer. Sad beyond comforting. Incapable of being soothed.
Nice work. You chose disconsolate and it is correct.
The tone of paragraph 93 can be described as dash. Correct response. Accusatory is the most accurate answer. How much did a replacement diamond necklace cost? Clear logic. Your choice 40,000 francs is sound. Mathilde Loisel can best be characterized as dash.
Smart move. Ungrateful is an accurate answer.
Where is the setting of the necklace short story?
Perfect. Paris, France is the correct choice.
Which word below means to see in a certain way?
Sharp thinking. Perspective is the right choice.
How many of Jonathan's children survived the war?
Correct. 3 is the right answer. Fill in the blank. Mathilde danced with great dash. Nicely done. Rapture is a solid answer. Which best describes Monsieur Loisel's character? Exactly. Patient and supportive makes sense.
In which year was the necklace first published?
Right again. 1884 is a valid answer.
The teacher aimed to dash her students every day.
On track. Inspire is the correct answer.
From whom does Madame Loisel borrow the necklace?
Well reasoned. Madame Forestier is the correct choice.
True or false? The necklace author used a pen name.
Great thinking. True is the right choice. How you will get all these quiz questions in PDF books format. Correct response. Contact Narayan Chinder on Facebook is the most accurate answer.